Here to react to all this virtual convention is radio talk show host Joe Pags. Joe, good to see you.
Dr. Gina, great to see you. Great to see Miranda as well. How are you?
We're doing well, Joe. Joe, I hear that you are joining the ranks of some of the greatest out there. You know you are a bona fide, credentialed, true blue conservative when you get banned from Twitter. Is that true that you got banned?
Well, I'm not banned. I'm suspended. No, they suspended me 3 weeks and a day ago because I dared post this hashtag hydroxychloroquine works. Now, we knew that because the epidemiologist at Yale said it worked. We also know that from Henry Ford Medical Center. They said it works, and they did real studies. Anecdotal data says that it works. In fact, it's been approved by the FDA for 65 years. So we know it works for malaria, lupus, and arthritis. But we also know that anecdotally, at least, and now we're getting other evidence that it works for hydroxychloroquine, or it works for coronavirus. But keep in mind, ladies, I never said take it. I never said it works for coronavirus. All I said was hydroxychloroquine works. And I've been suspended. I appealed it. They answered my appeal and said, no, we think what you posted was misleading and potentially harmful. Think about that. That's all I posted. And the reason why, know why, because Donald Trump said he's hopeful that it'll work. So if Trump says it, it must be bad.
Yeah, I actually, I'm just kind of dumbfounded. Gina's looking at me and I'm like, what? That is so bizarre. First off, I just have to say it's great to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. It's been a long time, and I loved working with you back in the day, for sure. Good to see you.
I know. I loved it. Well, Twitter's, I'm speechless because I have interviewed doctors that have said the same thing. What you just said, coronavirus has been around for a while. This has worked. They don't say everyone should take it. You should consult your doctor, obviously with certain conditions. You're not doing that. So we have to ask you.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Continue.
Well, I was just going to say, it's amazing to me that the left doesn't seem to want it to work. That is so wild to me. This isn't political. We've got anecdotal data that we knew for a long time. Epidemiologists are saying it now. And Dr. Zelenko came out with a great protocol that says hydroxychloroquine prescribed by a doctor, zinc, and zithromycin in conjunction can work. It can help. It might save lives. Why would anybody be against that when we know this medication, which is very inexpensive, that could be playing a role here, is available and has been for almost 7 decades? It blows my mind.
Well, we are definitely, our minds are blown just hearing about that. But is your mind going to be blown when it comes to the convention tonight? Because here we are in day 3. It's been described as somewhat telethon-like, but we do have several big names that we've been talking about. Gina and I were talking about. Obviously you've got former President Barack Obama, you've got Senator Elizabeth Harris, you've got House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, you've got obviously Kamala Harris accepting the vice president nomination. What are you expecting tonight?
Well, it's interesting to me, as the three of us sit here with no script, and we're just talking about things that are important to us as we do this off the top of our heads. I just got done with my radio show for 3 hours, and I have no script. I have very little material in front of me. I know how I feel about issues. I've learned about the issues, and I can talk about them. What bothers me about this, and perhaps this is why the ratings are so low, these speeches, I heard a report today, Michelle Obama's speech was like three weeks ago she did it. So I'm not sure I understand why they can't walk out and do it live as if they're at a convention. It's very heavily produced. It's very heavily rehearsed. Barack Obama's speech was already released to TMZ that says that he does scorched earth against Donald Trump. Why is it has to be so canned? Why is it so fake? Why is it not real? And I noticed some of the language that they're using. They're not saying defund the police. They're saying we have to make sure that we have the proper resources here, there, and the other. They're trying to sort of hide the agenda they've been pushing in our faces for the past 6 months. It's interesting what they're saying. There won't be any surprises tonight, I believe. I'll be interested in seeing what Hillary Clinton does say. But no, I mean, what's the surprise going to be? We know they hate the guy. We know that they hate our value system and the way America is. So why would they change course other than softening it a little bit? That's all they're really doing, I think.
Yeah, you are like spot on with exactly what Dr. Gina was saying earlier. You said it from just day one. I mean, I understand that but it's virtual, but Dr. Gina, you've been saying about the production value all along, that it just seems so contrived and just cookie cutter, and there wasn't just a lot of excitement. I mean, we love watching this stuff, and we were trying to like pay attention.
Yes.
I mean, for that
Yes.
long. And I think it's interesting because you brought up, which I think is so spot on, which we've been talking about. A lot of these speeches have been more, against Trump than necessarily focusing on why you should vote for Biden.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to work. Thinking about the 2016 presidential election, I mean, remember, that's primarily was Hillary Clinton's strategy all along, and it didn't work.
Right. Yeah, Joe, if you had to pick a positive message out of the Democrat convention so far, what would it be? Well, Miranda and I can't find one.
Well, I think she's a horrible senator, but I think Amy Klobuchar did it the right way. She did what Miranda was just talking about. She came out and she said, here's why America would be better under our party, under our reign, under this agenda, under this guy, Joe Biden, who, by the way, probably will do some pre-produced planned thing, too. I can't imagine them letting him talk live when he speaks, but we'll see. I think Amy Klobuchar tried to do that in the primary, too, and it didn't work. It really was Kamala Harris calling Biden a racist and then somebody else calling Bloomberg a short guy or whatever. And at the end of the day, it was sort of about personal stuff. Amy Klobuchar seems to be the only one who gets the clue that the way you win the American people's hearts is saying, here's why we're better for you. Nobody cares how much you hate Trump. Trump has done positive things for America. If you don't counter that, how do you plan to win?
But no one was talking about that speech. I hear what you're saying, but
Yeah,
not one
didn't.
person has brought that up. To me, it seemed very, you've been in politics for a long time. You've run campaigns.
Yeah.
It seemed fake. I don't know how to explain
Just
it.
contrived, exactly
Yeah.
like Joe said.
Yeah.
Joe, what do you think the Republicans get to go after the Democrats? What do you think the Republicans, I can't help but think what's going through President Donald Trump's mind during this whole thing, being the showman and the entertainer and frankly the producer that he is. And he's going to take the level up, we know that. What do you think the Republicans will do differently than the Democrats? What are we going to see at the RNC?
Well, I hope that we'll see a bunch of live speeches. I hope that we'll see people speaking from the heart and from the top of their head and not something scripted and produced and fades and different, filters on the cameras. I just hope they come out and they're real. The president is going to launch into every single one of these people. You know that. He's going to take them down on what they presented and how hate-filled they are. I think that the right message is, once he gets past that, he's going to do that. Gina, we know him. He's going to do that. I know the guy. He's going to be that guy from Queens. But at the end of the day, he's got to say, here's what I did for African Americans. Here's what I did for women. Here's what I did for Latinos. Here's what I did for the border. Here's what I did for the economy. How do we bounce back so fast after shutting down the economy when nobody said we could do it? Why is the NASDAQ and the Dow so high? Why is there so much potential in our future in this country? If he does that slam that we know he's going to do, and people like that, some people do, he's got to go back to the message. Here is why 4 more years of my agenda is going to be better for America. If he focuses on that, those who are on the fence that you were both speaking about before he came on, those on the fence, those in the middle, those who aren't sure which way they're going, will say, okay, I could take the rough edges, but he's right. What he did for us and what he's shown that he will do in the future is worth my vote. I think that's what he's got to do.
To what do you attribute the recent poll tightening, especially in the battleground states, Joe?
I think that Biden left the basement a couple of times. And I think when you leave the basement a couple of times and show that there's a fragility there, and there is, I'm not a doctor, so maybe Dr. Gina can do better than I am here, but for me, there's something lacking on his fastball. There's something different. When you see Joe Biden 2015 and Joe Biden 2020, it's a different guy. There's a different mental capacity, in my not very scientific opinion, to what he's saying and how he's saying it. I think that when people see somebody who is showing outward signs that he might not be the right guy to be fit for the job, I think that scares them. Plus, the president is campaigning his rear end off. I talked to Eric Trump yesterday on the show. He's in the Midwest. I know that Laura was in the Midwest. I know that Katrina Pearson and others were over in Pennsylvania. They're working these states hard, states that Hillary Clinton avoided in 2016 for some odd reason. She thought she had him in the bag. And is Joe Biden really going to go get on a bus and go through these states? Is that going to happen? So I think that it's tightening up because workers, A, are seeing the economy come back, and B, people are going there and presenting the message that what this agenda has done so far.
Well, it is certainly getting exciting, and as the race continues to tighten, it'll undoubtedly get more exciting. Do you have any predictions regarding the outcomes of the conventions being virtual? Do you think it'll have a different impact than it's had in years past where conventions were live?
Well, yeah, it's already shown that it's got a real damaging effect for some reason. Everybody's home. Everybody's around a device. Everybody's around a television. Yet these ratings are just horribly low compared to just 4 years ago when you had to watch it on TV. I guess you could have watched it online, but most people were watching on television. So the bounce that you expect to get from a convention, you're not going to get it when your ratings are half of what they were 4 years ago. And the Republicans are in the driver's seat, as you guys alluded to a little while ago. They get to go second. They get to now counter what the DNC did. Why are the ratings so low? Why are people not viewing it? Why, when I was watching Eva Longoria the other night, just for a second, were there 950 viewers on a live stream? It was very strange to me. So the Republicans can step up the game and say, let's do it different than they did, because we can actually grab an audience that, if you give them the right message, you can grab them. I think this has been lackluster. Do you think this generation of progressive Democrats want to watch John Kerry? Really? I don't.
Yeah,
I think
no,
they know who the guy is.
Yeah, no, we were just talking about that earlier, but I want to ask you a really quick question. It's actually a two-parter there, so bear with me. But how critical are these conventions, would you say, to the party when it comes to fundraising or attracting voters or just drumming up the base in general? And because when I think about that, I also think, remember, it was former President Barack Obama where that really catapulted him right there. I mean, that set him up to become the Democratic presidential nominee, was speaking at that convention.
Well, I'll take it back even further than that, and I think that you're right. I think this is what you're alluding to. In 2004, he gave that masterful speech, and that speech really about it being his brother's keeper and about a better America and going forward. We all went, holy mackerel, who's this guy? Even I said, as a conservative, I said, well, who's this guy? I want to pay attention to him. So yes, you can get that kind of bounce. It's different now, though, and I think the Trump campaign, without giving out any secrets, Brad Parscale's a friend of mine, but I think the Trump campaign, digitally speaking, is in a better place. I think the Trump campaign, digital-wise, already is raising more money than anybody expected them to. And if they do digital right, and I trust they will when their convention comes around, you're going to see a massive influx of money, because you either have what they're presenting or what these people this week are presenting. And so far, as you said, it's been a week of attacks. It's been a week of negativity. It's been a week of America sucks under Trump, and nobody wants to live in a country that stinks. So I think that if you do it right, you can have that same exact bounce, if not better, than an in-person live or televised live convention where everybody's there and cheering and everything. I think that that's really the strategy, though. Who's got the better digital game now? And we didn't really know 6 months ago or 7 months ago you would need a better digital game going into the conventions.
Yeah.
So the speeches tonight, you're looking forward to any of them, even just a little bit, Joe?
A little inside baseball. I'm going to be honest with you. I love you guys, and that's why I'm doing this. But you can talk to the producer who got a hold of me. I haven't watched any of it. I've seen sound bites and clips after the fact because it's boring me to death, and I don't want to have somebody tell me how badly my country stinks. So I'm not looking forward to anybody. I am anticipating what Hillary Clinton will say. I'm anticipating what Barack Obama will say. What'll be interesting to me as an analyst, as somebody who watches this stuff and has for a long time, is how will Obama come off? If he's so negative against Trump and he's not the really likable guy, even I want to have a beer with Barack Obama. I disagree with everything he says politically, but he seems like a nice enough guy, and he wears a suit well, and he reads the teleprompter well. If he comes off as a negative Nelly, that's it. That's the death knell. If he comes off as the guy he can be and shows a positive outcome or outlook, and he's not going to because we know he doesn't like this president, maybe he's going to be effective. So it'll be interesting to watch what they say and hear what they say. But I think that they're in the mold now where they say we have to be negative. We have to try to tear this guy down. And when it comes to that game, you two know this better than anybody. Trump is going to kill them when it comes to insults. That's going to be easy for him. They're playing into his hands. So I am looking forward to seeing if they're going to be smart enough to be positive about the future at all. So far, they haven't been.
All right. Well, listen, Joe, thank you so much for being with us. Follow him on social media because maybe someday Twitter will unban him.
I don't know about Twitter.
At Joe Talk Show on Twitter eventually. And check out his website, which isn't banned. That's joepags.com. Joe, thanks again.